I'm Robin Chauhan, head of engineering here at AgFunder. My team is responsible for Gaia, and I get involved in speaking with our portfolio companies that are involved with AI, which is a growing set of them. And we're very excited to feature 3 of our portfolio companies here today, Cromatic, Atinary, and dataspan. And so we're going to start off the panel just with brief introductions. If you can introduce yourself and your company, what do you guys do?
Yeah. You guys hear me?
So we want to put it up?
Hello? Hello? Okay, better. So super nice to meet you guys and super happy to be here today. My name is Annie and I'm the CTO here at Cromatic. Cromatic is a data-driven marketplace for outsourcing scientific research. And what that means is that we actually connect biotech and pharmaceutical companies with contract research organizations. And our mission here at Cromatic is to really make research and development more efficient by building software that simplifies the process of outsourcing research.
Hello, my name is Herman Tribukait. I'm co-founder and CEO of Atinary Technologies. Thank you, Robin, and everyone, AgFunder, here for having us. Atinary, as you heard in the panel before, is an AI company, AI for chemistry, that accelerates materials and molecules discovery. So we offer a no-code platform that allows chemists, even physicists, biologists, to deploy AI without writing a single line of code and to speed up R&D as well on the early stage discovery phase. One distinguishing aspect is that our platform allows to integrate robotic platforms into the workflow so that you not only accelerate using the algorithms, you also accelerate by integrating automation. So you do smart automation that speeds up the whole process, the entire discovery process by orders of magnitude. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. This is my co-founder who invented the technology.
Hi everyone. Thanks again for the invitation here. My name is Loic. I'm the co-founder and CTO at Atinary. A pleasure. Looking forward to the conversation today.
Hi, I'm Ofer from dataspan.ai. Thanks for inviting me. I'm very happy to be here. At the intersection of AI and agtech. At Dataspan, we build a computer vision platform. Essentially, we are analyzing data that is coming from images and videos in use cases like disease detection in agriculture and defect detection in manufacturing. And the challenge is that those diseases and those defects are not that common. They're kind of rare. And that means that it's very difficult to collect and acquire enough data to train those huge computer vision AI models that we all know. And that's where we chime in. We're able to train these models with much less data than what's common today.
Awesome. Okay. Next question for you all is, can you talk about the type of AI or machine learning that you use in your company and maybe also how that's evolved over time, if it has?
Yeah, so here at Cromatic, our bread and butter is actually the ability to take complex research proposals and match them with the services provided by thousands of vendors globally. And as you guys can imagine, this is a very data-intensive process. So we use AI to help us simplify this matching and make that more efficient. And what that means is we have a product called the Sourcer, called Sourcer because it's almost like magical vendor sourcing. And the Sourcer is able to really effectively pull the most relevant parts of information from these complex proposals and then find the best vendors that are able to complete these services. And that's quite significant because this process only takes a few minutes. Whereas for companies right now, for life science companies, it takes them anywhere from weeks to months to do so. And we use systems like embedding models, we use systems like LLMs, of course, across different parts of our platform to do so.
So at Atinary Technologies, since we work in the research and development phase, the data is something that is extremely expensive, both in terms of resources. So if you look at chemicals, biochemicals, so the starting materials are very expensive. But also, every experiment that they run in a lab is very expensive. So therefore, we need to find algorithm that can deal with very limited amount of data. So because of that, we use something called Bayesian optimization. So this is based on statistics. So this is one of the core algorithms that we use. But also, since most of the company sits on pile of data, we need to have some sort of algorithm that can transfer knowledge that they have acquired around the last decades, let's say, and transfer this information into new experiment that they want to start. And to do that, we use something called neural processes.
So at dataspan.ai, we are both users and providers of AI. We are actually using what's called today Gen AI, generative AI, but when we started, it had like weird names like variational autoencoders and generative adversarial networks. This field really evolved. We see it both in language models, and specifically we are adapting what's called diffusion models. These are models that generate images, and lately you also saw it also generating videos to create not only marketing materials and nice photos that would be elegant for us, but also something that can be consumed by machine learning algorithms, by AI, to actually train the models. So just like talked about how expensive data is, this is a process that actually allows us to use much less data using those Gen AI technologies.
Awesome. So a lot of diversity up here today. So this question is really for Atinary and Dataspan more, and it's about the misperceptions. Did you encounter the misperceptions often that AI is all about LLMs? Now that we have ChatGPT, I think in the mainstream perception, ChatGPT equals AI. But as you can see here, there's a lot more diversity to it. So do you encounter that misperception often when you just say that you're building AI company?
Yeah, absolutely. So AI is something that is very, very broad. It encapsulates a lot of different things. As you just mentioned, we hear a lot of different technologies being used. Large language models like ChatGPT required a lot of data training time that is huge. And this is something that cannot be afforded, again, in our field. So there are many, many different techniques. And the one that we use is very different. And it's very easy for people to think that AI is ChatGPT, or before it was neural network. But yeah, there are very different techniques.
If I may add, so yes, I think most people are talking about large language models and Gen AI, generative AI. We don't do any of the two. I mean, we're developing some tools with LLMs, but the core technology, as Loic explained, is Bayesian optimization or active learning, machine learning algorithms, which is based on small number of data sets, so low compute cost. You don't need we can also actually start with zero data from scratch, so you don't need to pre-train and spend a ton of money just in the servers or in computation. So it's very different, and the application is also different. It's in science, advancing science, advancing technology at the core, as Manuel was talking about, the core technology. So that's it's very different. I think it's very exciting, and yeah.
So you're sitting here listening to what we have to say, and of course we're speaking here in English, which is natural language, large language models, etc. But you also use your eyes to get different kind of cues of what we do. Some of you are taking photos of what's going on here on stage, and it's clear that not everything is in language. As I mentioned before, there are other generative models that have to do with vision, like those diffusion models, also audio models, and a lot of the machine learning progress that has happened in one field is actually being transferred to other fields. There's kind of a lateral transfer between the different fields, and we actually see today both, as I mentioned, in language models, but also in other types of media. And specifically, there are also multimodal models that kind of bring together the language and what we see and what we hear, what probably someday around the corner also what we feel.
Thanks. Okay, and so we see AI progressing at an incredible rate these days. New things are coming out all the time, new models, new methods. So my question here is, how does the rate of change, this incredible rate of change in AI these days, does it affect your business? Does it help you? Does it make it harder? How does that affect your business?
Yeah, in our case, it's actually great for us because we love it when there's improvements to the technology, of course, and we can then take those new models, those new systems that come out and integrate it right back into our system, train it on our own proprietary data, and then be able to provide even more efficient matching services to users, even better features that they can then use towards outsourcing their research.
So our answer would be very similar to yours, actually. So it's great to see all those new publications, new research coming out, because those are just other techniques that we can embark very quickly into our platform and then deliver this and deploy this with our clients.
And if I may add, we actually benefit from that acceleration. I mean, we're seeing incredible improvements across the board, new algorithms coming in almost every week. In our platform, we make not only our proprietary algorithms available, we also make open source available algorithms for the users to use with our interface. The interface would be the equivalent, so to speak, of the ChatGPT in terms of user friendliness. So you're a chemist, you don't need to go to GitHub, anything. You just need an internet connection to deploy AI, be it our own algorithms or open source available algorithms, and by just clicking buttons and being it very intuitive to use.
So I would use one word: embrace. We are embracing any new technology that is out there, testing it, trying it, and trying to deliver the value that it provides also to our clients.
Great. Okay. So I think this question maybe could be deduced somewhat from our previous questions, but just to zoom in on the value of data or the relative value of data. So how do you see for your business, the importance of the data versus the algorithm? Definitely we know that in many cases, AI is as good as the data that it's trained on. So can you just say a little bit more about the balance between data and the AI algorithms for your use case?
Yeah, so data is definitely the backbone of our matching processes, and it's really important because we spent a lot of time then, in that case, building up the largest and most in-depth, most detailed database of vendors out there. And what this means is that we can then take our algorithms, our models, and it benefits a lot from this breadth and quality of this information to be able to then take those research proposals, extract services that are required to do those proposals, go back to the data that it had trained on from those different vendors, and then pick out the ones that are the most qualified to complete those research proposals. And we're always in the process of expanding and improving on our database so that we can make it even better.
Yeah, so for sure, the data is the utmost important thing in AI development, right? So because that's the backbone, as you mentioned, this is the data that is fed to the algorithm so that then you can build a model and then use this model, in our case, to help our clients speed up their research. But in the field where we are, so in research and development in particular, when we work with biotech companies, they can have a lot of noise in their data because by nature it's very noisy, experiments are very noisy. So therefore, we need to have algorithm that can handle this noise. So close to what you said, garbage in, garbage out, this is correct, but the algorithm still needs to have some margin where you can operate. And we have developed techniques where we can actually kind of separate the noise from the rest so that we can still learn from the real data that is underneath. But overall, the data is very important for sure.
And one key aspect of all this is generating better data. And this is where the robots come in our view. That's one of the reasons that you benefit from being able to seamlessly integrate these machines that can produce much higher quality, machine learning ready, reproducible data sets that in the current manual processes, think about a chemist just pipetting and counting drops, that is can be very inaccurate, leads to errors, human bias. That's part of the benefits of bringing in the robotic platforms to generate all these much better quality data sets.
Did you want to add anything over? Yeah, I think you've pretty much covered that question in your
I
previous. And we sometimes hear about the concept of human in the loop. You know, AI in term autonomous AI versus AI in collaboration with humans, or humans using AI. Like we hear words like centaur or but human in the loop. So can you talk about how is there a human in the loop for your use case, or what is the relationship between the human and the AI in your use case?
Yeah, so in our system, we can definitely build it from end to end without requiring humans in the loop, but we choose to bring humans into it because I think it's really important for users to be able to have that level of control and that level of understanding of what is actually happening, what results are being generated, and why are they being generated the way they are. So in our case, our system is actually able to do the majority of that heavy lifting to be able to really, process that data and then be able to make those initial matches for users in terms of the vendors that would be the best fit for them. But then we also provide them the ability to really review those matches and then review those intermediate data processing steps so that they can make sure that those match the expectations that they have. And this allows us to really benefit from AI's efficiency while also being able to make sure that these clients' needs are being met accurately.
Yeah, so as Herman mentioned, so we can bring in robotics, and Manuel mentioned before, we published with ETH, where we actually connected directly from our platform to a robotic system to run an experiment in full autonomy. Even more recently, we published with IBM Research Europe, where we did a similar approach where we connect directly to their robotic system to optimize chemical reaction in full autonomy. But in all of those examples, it's very important that the human can actually interact with the model, understand why the algorithm is going there, what is the rationale behind it. And to do that, we help the human to actually open this black box, which is machine learning and AI algorithm, with a powerful data analytics module, because it's very important that they can see what is happening, where is their experiment going, and why it's going there. So it's very important to have the human in the loop.
Absolutely. I think we believe that human plus machine today and for the foreseeable future will continue outperforming humans alone or machines alone. We see that in many use cases, and that's our belief as well. So in our case, a human remains in the loop and in control as well, and fully interacting with these autonomous systems, but they can stop anytime, refine it, think, and focus. The human focuses on what makes us human, and on the creativity, on the science, on thinking, designing or thinking where to start, and then leverage the technologies, the AI, the robotics, everything in the cloud, the power of computers.
So I'll stress this point with an example from ChatGPT. So a lot of us are using ChatGPT on an everyday basis. Not everybody knows that before ChatGPT, there were GPT-1 and GPT-2 and GPT-3. So these were engines or machine learning models that were trained to generate sequences of letters or sequences of words, text essentially. And what actually made the difference, the leap between the GPT models and ChatGPT was human training, human in the loop training. And while they say about 99% of the compute resources for training ChatGPT were on the GPT side, but the 1% that was added by the human in the loop made these transformer models, these GPT models, to what we see today as an interactive chatbot or a machinery that really helps us, enables us to use it the way we use it. And we actually follow this paradigm at dataspan, where we generate images and we allow the human in the loop to give feedback on the images and kind of reinforce the way that the machine generates the data towards the specific knowledge that is kind of encapsulated within the person's mind to eventually generate data that has both the traits of the global statistics and the knowledge that an expert has.
Andrew, how are we doing for time? Great. So Our last question is kind of like a hot take, philosophical question. We hear discussion about, is AI going to end the world or is it going to save it? So what do you think on balance? Is AI going to be a positive thing for this world, or should we be worried? Talk to us about that.
I like to think that I'm a very optimistic person. I think AI is definitely going to be very beneficial because I think when there's new technology, it's a lot more beneficial for people to learn how to embrace it and how to use it, how to leverage it instead of how to hide it away. And I think it's beneficial for humans because then there's so much potential for AI to really boost productivity across so many different sectors, whether it's ag tech or other industries. And it has the potential to really, automate processes that might be really mundane or really repetitive. And that gives humans the time, the resources back to focus on things that require more creativity, things that require more innovation, more creative thinking. And then what that allows for is that then humans are able to make advancements in many different fields, like healthcare, for example. They can focus their resources now on making breakthroughs, making innovations instead of on administrative tasks.
So in my opinion, I mean, this is, as any other technology, a tool that can be misused. We believe we augment humans, so both on the positives and on the negative side. Now, having said that, in our case, we do what we can at Atinary to really focus on the, for sure, net positive or positive activities good for humanity. So on the one hand, that's why we focus on healthcare, food, agriculture, climate tech. In addition, we prohibit the use of our technology for military purposes, and we don't take money also from the Department of Defense, so we try to stay away from that and really care for those activities, those uses that are for sure needed and urgently needed, we would say, for the good of society.
So, well, I must agree here. I think it depends really on the user and not on the technology. We already see regulation in place. We see controls and balances and breaks. And eventually, just like any other technology, this is going to prevail as a good thing for humanity. At least that's what I believe.
Fantastic. Okay, so that's the main questions portion of this of the segment, and we're going to do. Do we have time for Q&A or?
For a hot second, if that's okay.
Okay, so if anyone has a question for our awesome panelists, feel free to put your hand up to ask for the mic.
All right, you guys can think about that. I actually have a question of my own. I'm actually quite familiar with your technologies and your use cases from food, ag, and beyond. But for, I guess, purposes of the audience, when you think about your technologies, and you think about today or the near future, which industries or sub-industries do you feel stand to gain the most from leveraging Cromatic, Atinary, dataspan?
I think there's a lot to it. And I think right now our focus is primarily on, improving scientific outsourcing. And this is a very big space because the drug, for example, right now takes 10 years and $1 billion on average to bring to market. I think if we're able to even improve the processes a little bit, it's quite significant for the amount of impact that we can have. And this is only in the drug development field. I think there's a lot of potential to also use similar systems across many different industries and make outsourcing more accessible across even companies that are doing drug discovery or companies that are doing research in the areas of ag tech, in the areas of climate tech, anything that requires previously like a lab space. Now you can find other people, other industry experts who have those resources, that knowledge to be able to do it for you so that way you can focus on making breakthroughs and the most critical parts of your research and your technology instead of having to reinvent the wheel every single time. So I think AI has a lot of potential in making those better connections. And I think we're just harnessing it on one platform so far for a small use case, but there's a lot of potential in terms of where it can be applied to.
Yes, so as I mentioned, we apply AI mostly to chemistry, chemical reactions, and that's really across the board. Everything you look around here has chemical reactions behind it, from the clothing we wear to the batteries to cars and drugs for sure. So in the short term, I think we're seeing early adopters more on pharma and biotech, drug discovery and optimization. But the opportunities, the potential is enormous. I think Rob mentioned semiconductors that we're working with MIT. That's a longer term, but that's a humongous industry of potential and need. The same in chemistry, and for example, in climate tech, we have a project on carbon capture materials that also is huge impact, huge industries. And from there, you can think about longer term alternatives to plastics that can be really recyclable easily and ideally biodegradable. But it's really, the opportunities are across the board.
So for dataspan, it's more about industrial use cases, robotics for supply chain, for example, for manufacturing, a lot of processes that has to do with visual inspection that people are doing today, and really reducing the resources that are required for these repetitive work that is done today by human is something that we aim for.
Thank you. Thank you. Questions on AI? Oh, AgFunder really wants to hog this one. Okay. Just in case? Okay. We're still curious, even after investing.
So, and maybe this is more to carry over into the cocktail hour. Do one of you four have a very strong opinion on whether AI will take away jobs, or whether AI will increase the number of jobs? And we're in a closed room here. This is not going to be broadcast to the world. So strong opinions, even weakly held, are appreciated.
This is definitely a very heavily debated topic, and I'm glad we're in a closed room here. But I do think that it'll do both. I think it'll take away a lot of jobs potentially, of course, but it'll also have the ability to add back a lot of jobs that are more high impact. So I think we're going to start seeing a shift where there's less, job openings in areas that might be more repetitive tasks or something that doesn't require as much actual human thinking. And we'll see that shift go towards more jobs that now require a lot of creative thinking, a lot of innovation, something that machines aren't capable of doing yet or will do better in conjunction with a human. So I think that's kind of where we'll see that shift going.
So as an economist by training, I feel very strongly that on the net, it's going to be increasing for sure the number of jobs, but there will be a change and a transition. Some will have to lose jobs, especially in the short term, but in the long term, companies are going to be more productive, will generate more profits, and that will grow the entire economies and bring in better technologies, as any other technology in the past, right? This is the usual discussion on robotics, but I mean, think about in agriculture, how much has been automated, tractors and everything, and there's still, I mean, the jobs change over time, but it's a net positive for everyone, for the economy as well. Maybe not in the transition. Some people will for sure lose and need to retrain, and that's where the key is for governments. It's a policy question for governments to come in and make sure that there's a way to soften or to manage that transition for those who lose, because there will be some losers.
Yeah. I think it will definitely transform the jobs, that's for sure. And we can see it already in universities now. For example, in chemistry now they have new bachelor program, new master program where they go towards digital chemistry. That's something that I didn't have when I had classes before. So there is a transformation, and AI will be everywhere, and it will change. As you mentioned, I think the focus will be different. Instead of spending hours on thinking where to go next, then this will be done by something that's way more efficient, like AI, that can navigate this space super quickly. And then we will be, like the human will be more towards understanding why it's going there, why is the chemistry behind, what is happening. So more on the thinking.
So I would totally agree with Herman. There was a research by a Google team that actually examined, I think, 300 or so professions and what the influence of ChatGPT would be on these professions. And if you want to hear more about it, you would have to talk to me after the session.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Oh, wow. This is going to be hard to get to. 1 second.
Thank you. There's been criticism of AI models of running on higher amounts of power, computing power, and the energy required for that. How does the AI community looking at that now to try to mitigate that challenge, which is coming up quickly, the faster that these grow?
So yes, for sure, energy use to run all this training is an issue. So there's multiple ways, in my view, at least with what pertains to Atinary. One of the early use cases that Loic ran, even before launching the company, was to minimize the number of simulations needed to find optima, which is essentially what we do. We minimize the number of runs, the number of experiments, the number of simulations to find the global best. So that by itself reduces not only the chemicals and everything, also the power usage. That's one thing. But on the other side, on the discovery of new materials, high performance materials that minimize the usage of energy, for example, in semiconductors, you need power electronics that use much less power. And that's urgently needed because as AI is going to be really pervasive everywhere, and the Internet of Things, everything interconnected, even from the car to every consumer electronics, we need these better materials that can perform the work with consuming less energy, low energy production that requires better chemistry, requires better materials.
Yeah, and to add more specifically on the AI algorithm itself, so this goes back to your first question, Robin. So there are different type of AI, and some AI algorithm may use a lot of GPUs or a very large number of CPUs to be trained. But then there are different type of algorithms. So typically machine learning algorithm or active learning strategies. Those are things that can even run on a laptop for the training. So in terms of resources, it can be very low as well.
And I would also add that the AI community as a community is actually addressing these questions in NeurIPS, which is the largest AI conference or machine learning conference in the world. In the past 3 or 4 years, they have a track where they measure the algorithms not by how good they perform. Of course, they need to perform well, but according to the resources that are being used for achieving these performance.
I just add to that. I mean, we've got Microsoft proposing $100 billion Stargate. I've heard the other week that AI would represent about 25% of U.S. energy consumption. But who's spending that money? Google, Microsoft, Apple, people with tons and tons of money, and they're not going to go build coal plants, right? They are going to build nuclear, they're going to build solar, they're going to build geothermal, and so they could create an incredible amount of demand, right, on what has been sort of a lot of supply, but maybe weak demand, and then we get the peace dividends of that in the future. So I think they could radically increase the speed from a transition from physical fuels to renewables very quickly. So I see this as absolutely the best thing you possibly do for energy.
And I guess, you know, the creation of demand then creates the need for solutions, right? So and there's a great demand to solve these things. And actually, didn't you start trying to create a clean energy company? That was the first idea, right?
Indeed. So the origin of Atinary was on renewable energy, how to really accelerate the transition, the efficiency of these tools, and that's how we. This is way before Atinary. How I got from energy and renewable energy to chemistry to materials, to the problem that these materials that are essential to have this transition take forever to come to discover, to improve. And in fact, we currently have also projects on batteries. I should have mentioned that. So we have a very exciting collaboration with essentially the MIT of Denmark, DTU, the Danish Technical University, on coming up with better materials for batteries and better chemistry for batteries. That is a 3-year collaboration, very exciting between with the company.
I'll just add that, for example, reinforcement learning is a branch of AI that is ideal for optimizing all sorts of things, actually. I spent a lot of time interviewing AI researchers, specifically RL researchers, reinforcement learning researchers. For example, I interviewed the team from DeepMind who use reinforcement learning for the magnetic fields in a fusion reactor. So you could see that AI could provide a path to the clean energy that we need.
All right, great. We are technically out of time, so let's shift any burning questions that were going to be asked to the coffee. I was going to say coffee hour. It's actually coffee 25 minutes. So anyway, let's all get re-energized before we come back for our second panel. Thank you very much, everyone.
I just want to give a hand to Dataspan, Atinary, and Cromatic. We're very excited about what you're doing. Let's give a warm hand to our panelists today. Thanks so much.